All right, now, if you remember where you stopped at, Nancy.
All right, then the prayers were going up. Uh, Many prayers were going up, and the word got out about the terrible accident. Mother and Mrs. Hirschberger stayed with deep prayers and asking the Lord's blessing. I mean, His will be done, the way that they prayed. God's will be done. Okay, now at this point in time, Harley wasn't going to make it, and he did not survive.
And he had, what, a 9-month-old
He
baby?
was married and had
A year?
young child, very young child at the time. Year-old. So the word got out that Jerry had passed away somehow in the community. Now how we don't know, but we did get, Mother and Daddy got several sympathy cards that came in.
It's in your book.
Because they had heard that she didn't survive. However, through all of this and it was God's plan,
Mm-hmm.
through the night, she was able to survive through that night.
We got nurses, talk about the nurses.
And the doctor was, like I said, a very specialized
What about the nurses, Mom?
surgeon.
Well, they have to have nurses all around the clock.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
So we had got a nurse, a woman from Goshen, Edna Yoder, and she did private duty for 3 or 4 weeks.
She was a Mennonite,
Yeah.
Mennonite
And
nurse.
she came and spent that first night. Of course, I don't remember any of this because I was unconscious.
But there was the best care that we could
Yeah.
could get,
Best care.
through that time, and through this all, we know that well, we know God has a plan. We don't know
mm-hmm.
always what that plan may be. But
So-
anyway, Jerry, you want to go ahead?
Well, let's see that they admitted me, of course. I was in a private
How long
room.
were you in the
I was in
hospital?
the hospital 9 weeks.
9 weeks?
And the first thing I can remember, I woke up, it was about 4 days afterwards, and I looked, and Mom was standing by the bed, and she said, well, we'll be going to Pretty Pains tonight for supper. And I said, oh, can I go too? And I said, oh, no. She said, don't you remember the accident? You were in a terrible accident. And then I looked up, and my feet were in traction, up like that.
That's probably why she can still bend like she does.
Traction. And my arm was up in
You
traction.
weren't going anywhere.
See, was it this arm? That one. This one.
Yeah.
This one was in traction, and of course, then I went out again. I mean, I don't remember much more after that for a while. And then we got an Army nurse came and stayed with me. 2 Army nurses were discharged. And they were friends of mine in high school. One was Lucilla Nicasi, and the other one was Donnabelle Cripe.
Right, yeah.
And she was married at the time. And Donnabelle was with me for 9 weeks. She came home with me. She was with me when I came home then.
Good nurses.
Oh, yeah. And I had fun with them. It was a fun, I don't remember ever really having pain
Wow.
anytime.
Back in those days, that's incredible to be able to say that. That's definitely
Uncomfortable.
prayer.
Very uncomfortable having my legs up with all these weights on them. But as far as excruciating pain, I can't remember anything like that.
Wow.
I know.
That's almost unbelievable.
And I had a terrible gash on my leg. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. It was
Terrible gash.
So then,
Right
once you
down
came
into the-
home,
Crash came her bone forward.
And that was a matter, Mother prayed about that a lot.
That was a very,
That gash.
yeah, that was a very,
It was right here. It was open. It wouldn't heal.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, it started healing from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
You could see skin coming from the inside out. Remember that?
eventually it healed up.
so then once you came home after 9 weeks, then when did you have your next surgery?
Well, let's see, let me think of that. I had some surgery in the hospital after, maybe several weeks after I was in the hospital. I had some surgery on my leg, on my the leg that was broken. this
Right.
week. And then after I got home, it was a couple of years.
Oh, a couple years.
Before I went up to Mayo, That was in 1947.
Okay.
And we went up to Mayo, and they thought it would be well to have surgery on both feet at the same time. And Daddy was not in for that. It was too far away. So they thought there was got to be somebody near in Chicago. So we went over to talk to the doctor that took care of me at the time, Dr. Todd, and he knew of a orthopedic surgeon, very well known, in Chicago. So we went up there, Dr. Compier, and went up there, and he did the surgery. I was up there 2 weeks, and he did both feet at the same time.
Another thing, you had more X-rays at the Elkhart Hospital
yeah.
than any other, up to then,
Mhm.
than any other patient had ever had,
Really?
up to that time, yeah.
Uh-huh.
They bring the X-rays in the room, you know.
Well, that
That
was
Right.
it was
a lot of X-rays taken.
So was the foot surgery then when you two went to Florida? Is that then when you?
when we went to Florida that winter, that was with the folks too. That was the winter after the accident. You didn't go to school, or you took a time off from college,
Mhm.
and we went up there thinking that maybe therapy would help. And I went to Battle Creek Sanitarium in Miami, and it didn't.
It had to be
anything.
surgery.
It had to be
Surgery
anything.
was the only thing.
So we were there about 3 months. We're in
I
Chicago.
think something like
Florida.
that.
The folks came home and we stayed. We had the car, and they came home Daddy came
I
home.
think he did. Mother stayed, I think.
Yeah, but they went to Cuba
Yeah,
on that trip. They went to Cuba, and we stayed, and we had a good time, didn't we?
yeah,
Went to the beach
and
and
things like that,
had a
but,
vacation.
but there wasn't anything more there that would for correction.
No,
And that's what they needed, that was gonna have to be done. And that had to be done by totally a skilled surgeon.
Uh-huh.
And he was skilled, Dr.
Dr.
Compier was.
Compier, yes, he was
Who
one
done
of
in
the
Chicago.
well-known guys.
He was a very fine surgeon.
Of course, I had to have special shoes.
Oh, sure.
And in those days, when they'd go to Chicago, Daddy and Mother,
Oh, goodness.
he'd walk around at night. Now you wouldn't do that, but he'd be down on Madison Street.
Oh,
at
way
night,
down in the slums.
walking around, and he happened to see a shoe
The shoe
shop,
store was way in the bad section of the
and
city.
he saw these shoes in the window, and he thought, well, that's something that she could wear.
Did you know that?
And they were made to order then. We had them made to order.
I remember going to Chicago
Do ya?
to get your
You
shoes.
had to do that.
Grandpa and Grandma and the whole family, and take a picnic lunch. Meet Grandpa at the Palmer Hotel.
Well, then you see those shoes. I had to have a cast made at my feet, and then they made them to order.
So it was this shoe store that Grandpa saw
Mhm.
that actually did your shoes
Right.
then.
They took a cast
How
of my
amazing.
foot, and then they
They
made
got
the
them
shoes.
custom made.
And they probably weren't any more expensive now than the shoes that I get. Which, well, I can't even get shoes now.
Custom made. That was the way they did it. They
I
had
can't
to-
even get shoes now, you
Had
know.
to make shoes.
I can't get shoes.
I know where you said you couldn't.
I have to keep polishing.
Where are you
these
gonna
and-
get it? You can't get them anywhere.
No,
Could you have some made?
these are all leather with leather soles, and now they're China or whatever. They just don't do it for
Oh,
me.
God.
So I have to
Seems
keep
like
learning what I
there'd be some
have.
place you could get something.
I can't. Nothing that feels good.
So then after you had your feet operated on in Chicago and you got your special shoes, then what? Was that the end of all your surgeries and that?
Well, I
Or?
will have to tell you, the summer after the accident, we spent a lot of time at the lake.
Mhm.
At Winona Lake,
Winona
Grandpa and
Lake.
Grandma's cottage.
And the summer went fast. People were with me all the time. It was
But you were in their wheelchair
a
a lot.
fun summer. It really
Wheelchair and
was.
stuff.
And so one time, I have to tell you about